All right, we are following some breaking news out of Chino. Basically, we are following this car that may have been involved with an officer-involved shooting.
Yeah, let's go up to KTLA 5's Gabe Santos in Sky 5. And Gabe, just a few seconds ago before during a commercial break, we saw this guy almost have a head-on with several vehicles.
Yeah, this guy's been driving very erratically, driving on the wrong side of the road, making contact with other drivers. The contact that we just saw a minute ago was actually the third collision that we've seen in this pursuit so far. Sheriff's deputies from the San Dimas station, LA County Sheriffs, originally started chasing this car because he got into a car accident in front of the sheriff's station. He then got into another accident at Grand Avenue in the Chino area, which involved another sheriff's deputy who was hurt in that. We are waiting to find out more information on the condition of that deputy. But in the meantime, other deputies are continuing in this pursuit of this red sedan in the Chino area, continuing to drive erratically, although right now he is driving on the right side of the road. We're going to see what happens very shortly here.
That was really intense to see. I mean, we follow a lot of pursuits, but he was literally going the opposite direction and avoided 18-wheeler and then three other vehicles. I mean, one I thought he had literally gone head-on with.
Well, he didn't just cross the double yellow line. He actually went all the way over into the far lane.
Wow.
And then managed to get back, and that's when he almost had a couple of head-ons. I mean, that was kind of heart-stopping to watch that during the commercial break. Gabe, how did this all start? Any information on that?
Yeah, we do know at this point that the suspect was driving in front of the San Dimas Sheriff's Station and was involved in the crash in front of the station. Deputies saw that and then initiated the pursuit. The suspect did not stop and kept on going, and that's what you see right now, this erratic driving continuing on Eucalyptus Avenue. It might be Chino Hills Police actually taking on this pursuit. I still see an LA County Sheriff's deputy, second car there. As we were close up, coming up on an intersection here, let's see what he does. Looks like he's making a right turn. That's going to be Pipeline Avenue behind the trees there. We'll get a better shot of it shortly. But as when we were on the driver's side of this car, you saw damage to the front corner. That's from when the suspect was at a red light, actually stopped, stuck behind traffic, and he actually pushed the car in front of him out of the way to continue on. So this is a very dangerous suspect. If you're in the area, you want to just avoid the situation. Don't get anywhere near this. This guy's continuing to drive erratically, running red lights. There's his opportunity for a green light there to make a left turn. Looks like Grand and Pipeline. Now, Grand is the same street that the suspect actually caused a accident with another sheriff's deputy. We are heading back in the westbound direction, so we're heading towards that accident, although he still has a few, maybe 5 miles to go before we actually get back to that scene. But that would be interesting if the suspect actually went back to the scene of the crime, so to speak.
And you can see there the deputies in pursuit behind him. He is going to hit some traffic here, it looks like, but as we've seen him already, he's not compliant. It looks like he's pretty aggressive in his driving, and as you had mentioned, that damage to his right bumper hitting a car, basically bumping it out of the intersection. Now he's going to get trapped here.
Yeah, and this is when we've seen the suspect doing some very dangerous things, actually hitting other cars. We haven't seen the window down. We haven't actually seen what the suspect looks like. And here we go. One of the San Bernardino County Sheriff's vehicles. San Bernardino County Sheriff's actually provides police services to Chino Hills, so that's why you see that there. But that officer or deputy is out of the vehicle, and the suspect continuing. So the deputy gets back in the vehicle and continues pursuing here. You see another deputy. They're blocking traffic here, which is a good thing to keep everyone safe in this situation. We're continuing on Grand under one of the overpasses here, and I'm surprised that suspect didn't actually hit another vehicle there, because I was thinking that that was a very likely possibility.
And you said the following vehicle is San Bernardino? Yeah,
so Chino Hills Police is actually contracted by San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department. So they are a separate department, but it's really the services of San Bernardino County Sheriff's providing that.
You know, he's hitting stretches where there's not a lot of vehicles at some point. Will they try? Do you think they'll try a pit maneuver here on a
very close to another car here with a trailer. no
Whoa.
impact. I don't think there. No contact.
Oh.
And here we go. The deputy trying to make a pit maneuver there. Got the bumper off.
Yeah.
But the suspect is just continuing on.
Yeah, I was going to ask, do you think they'll try a pit maneuver here on the surface street when he hit a stretch where there's no traffic? Like right now would be a good spot, but they're too far behind him at the moment.
Yeah, as you guys know from seeing these a lot of times, they want to be within a certain speed limit before they perform that maneuver. When the vehicle came to a stop there a short time ago, that was a good time, and you saw that deputy actually go for the move. It only took the bumper off, and the suspect now continuing Grand Avenue, still in the Chino Hills area. And as I mentioned, this is going in the direction of the accident that caused a injury to an LA County Sheriff's deputy. So we're still heading in that direction. That is a possibility if he continues a few more miles to the west here.
Well, they always head to a familiar area, and he possibly lived in the area where the original hit-run accident took place. And of course, they always just seem to have some kind of fantasy that they're actually going to get away with this, which 99.9% of the time they don't.
And you had mentioned he had originally gotten in a car accident in front of the sheriff's department, and then they started pursuing him at that point, and then he got into another accident. That's the one where it was a crash involving a deputy, right? And the deputy was in a vehicle, not on foot.
Correct. The deputy was in a marked patrol car. We actually got a look at that crash as we were on the way to this pursuit. As it was heading eastbound, we passed the scene of that crash, and we saw paramedics working on at least 2 vehicles there. At least that's what I was able to tell. We're working on any more specifics on the type of injuries to anyone else that was involved there. We don't have that information as of yet, but we are heading in that direction.
It looks like he might try the
pit maneuver.
Here.
Here it is.
Do it.
Here we go. We'll see what happens. He's on the left bumper there, and there we go with the pit. Suspect, almost into oncoming traffic there, but he's in the median,
and that's
able to regain control and continuing.
Yeah, that's the problem when there's other traffic coming in the other direction, but he got a good hit on him.
Yeah, definitely. At the very least, maybe spooked this suspect.
Here comes the second one.
A little bit slower. Another one.
Oh, just missed him.
Didn't quite get that one. We're hearing the radio traffic. They are allowing deputies to continue making these attempts at the pit maneuver. Of course, maybe not right now where there's other traffic in the way, but that's definitely something that they may possibly try again.
Yeah, it looks like that vehicle from the deputy there has pulled back, and now the other 2 are approaching him, 2 different vehicles, so a different driver may try. He's got that bumper hanging off the back as well. The car could have some damage as well. It's still moving really well, but he is, I mean, we've even seen him hit 2 things.
Well, he's got front end damage.
2 accidents before that.
Back end damage. What they need is they need to, if they have to, bump him hard enough to where he damages the tires in some way, and then they'll mess up his suspension, and then he's going to have no choice but to pull over. But right now, I mean, he continues at a pretty good clip, and that bumper continues to drag behind him. And
we don't know anything about the driver at this time. And also, with these tinted windows, oftentimes we're able to look in and see the antics sometimes of the driver or the body language. But those look like pretty dark tinted windows on that vehicle.
Yeah, definitely hard to get a look at the driver here. We haven't been able to get on the front end to really see what the driver looks like or know if it's a he or a she. So we're still not sure about that, but we do know that this driver is very erratic and very frustrated, running red lights. There goes another one right there. Looks like maybe LA County Sheriff's is getting back in this pursuit. Since we are heading westbound, I'm not sure exactly where the county line falls, but I would venture to say that we're back in LA County now, and LA County Sheriff's is picking the pursuit back up.
Gabe, can you make out what kind of car this is?
It could be a Nissan, maybe. Let me get a closer look here with our zoom lens on Sky 5. Get on the other side of the trees here. Maybe it's hard to tell on the monitor here. I know you guys have bigger monitors there. Maybe a Nissan Maxima, so definitely a sedan. 4 doors, probably seat about 5 people in there. Not a sports car by any means, but anyone behind the vehicle of something like that could cause damage if they wanted to, which is the concern here, making a right turn, Diamond Bar Boulevard in Grand. So we're not going back to the scene of that second accident that this driver caused. We're going in the northbound direction here. You just saw one of the air units from LA County Sheriff's Department here continuing in this pursuit here. Diamond Bar and Clear Creek Canyon Road. We might actually be more in the Diamond Bar area, to be specific now.
Yeah, it looks like that's what our technical information on the screen there that gives us the speed and the location, and it is saying Diamond Bar. It's bouncing back between Diamond Bar and then it just went away again.
Okay, he is now.
Yeah, so we're definitely in the Diamond Bar area now, and this is definitely LA County Sheriffs continuing in this pursuit now. We're hearing them call out the shots now. Going through another intersection there, but that may have been a green light. Let me widen out the picture here and just show you all the LA County Sheriff's deputies following this vehicle. This is not someone they want to let go, so sometimes we see them cancel pursuits when they get too dangerous. But this vehicle, this suspect has shown that he will do anything to get away and cause damage to get away, and he may have injured one of their own. So when that's the situation, that's definitely something where they will keep on this guy and make sure he doesn't get away, or at the very least follow him and make sure that they can keep the public safe with those sirens, with those lights, so people know there's a pursuit coming and they can get out of the way if they can.
Another thing that is a concern oftentimes, especially when they're not familiar with the suspect, they don't know if this is a stolen vehicle or if there was just an accident in front of the sheriff's station. You know, this person, this driver, male or female, could have a handgun.
Oh,
yeah, he's trying to squeeze through.
Yeah.
Just,
Yep.
Yeah.
He
You
is
don't
just-
know if he's armed.
Look at
Oh,
that.
a couple
my
cars
goodness.
impacted there, making contact with a
Wow.
bunch of cars. Looks like that might be an unmarked sheriff's vehicle
Yeah.
joining the pursuit right now. So we just saw this suspect make contact with a bunch of innocent people there just to get away. So that tells you one thing, that this suspect is desperate, and maybe he's, very, very coming in hot on
Look at
some
this.
traffic here. Impact with a bunch more cars. I think by my count, that's at least 10 cars involved in different collisions, and that might be it. We hope that's it. We hope there was enough damage to this car to maybe cause it to stop. We have officers here getting in position, guns drawn. I'm going to widen out the picture here just in case anything really bad happens here. But there are a lot of innocent people in the way here. Deputies have to be very careful, including this car that maybe he doesn't know that this was part of a pursuit. He's just stopped there. He might think that this is just your everyday accident, but you would hope that he's looking out the window, seeing the guns drawn, and thinking maybe, I better get out of here. You see LA County Sheriffs getting in close, again with their guns drawn. This is going to be South Diamond Bar Boulevard near Pomona in the Diamond Bar area. And we're going to see what this suspect decides to do here.
It's so interesting that the vehicle in the front is just sitting there. I mean,
Well-
I would be hitting the accelerator at
Well,
this point.
he could be stunned. He could be knocked out.
That's true.
He just got hit from behind. Usually in that situation, they're going to have a neck injury. And as you said, he may just think this is, he's been rear-ended. And usually, though, he would have gotten out of the car
There
by
he
now.
goes.
Yeah,
Well,
there you
now
go.
he moves. I'm
Smart.
surprised.
They maybe yelled at him
Yeah,
to
true.
go.
That could be the case.
Yeah.
Yes, he must
think-
be freaking out right now.
I think one of the, maybe this deputy here was kind of signaling to that driver to just get out of there, get to safety. You can collect insurance information later, but right now you need to get out of there and get to safety. Even these cars that are a little bit too close for comfort, sheriff's deputies are asking them to back up, and maybe they'll find another way to get these vehicles out of the area. But this suspect not complying, he might be hurt, he might be under the influence, we don't know. Since he's been there for a little bit, I'll kind of punch in and see if we can see anything.
Well, he
Looks
may
like I
have
can
enough
see it.
damage he can't drive away.
Yeah, that tire
Yeah.
looks like
Yeah.
it's inverted a little bit there.
And there's definitely enough damage to the front end that he may not be able to go anywhere.
Yeah, Gabe, he hit, I mean, it was like 2 to 3, and then he hit another group, and then another. He's probably damaged 15 other cars.
Yeah, groups at a time here. He's using a sedan to plow many cars out of the way. So you know that he's probably not going to be able to get this car moving again. But if he does know that, then he might be. This might turn into a standoff situation where the suspect, we haven't seen him roll down his windows. We haven't seen him make any sort of contact by any means. I do see someone kind of moving around. I can't really tell if that's a reflection or if that's an arm. Yep. Yeah, and we hear the sheriff's deputies saying on the radio that they are aware that he is moving around, possibly searching for something. So that's a concern here. Again, he's not rolling down the window. He's not getting out of the car. His car door might be damaged to where it might not. It might be difficult to open. But you would think, you know, maybe not. At this point, the sheriff's department just wants to get this suspect out of the car so they can keep everybody safe here.
You know, it's interesting, law enforcement, they train year after year for incidents like this. And this, and I know Tim Lynn has told us in the past, is one of the most dangerous points of a pursuit, oftentimes, because you don't know what's going to happen, even though he can't move. And on the right-hand side of your screen here, as we have the live images on your left, you can see here, this is the big one here, where he just plowed through.
There's no way he could get between those two vehicles.
And I can't believe he made it through those.
Yeah.
Wow. But, you know, oftentimes you don't know if he's going to come out of the car, you know, shooting, or if he, you know, we've also seen where people take their own lives inside of the car. You just never know what will happen. But this guy had no regard for anyone's safety or well-being, including himself. Wow. You
know, and a lot of people wonder, too, why they don't pull in front of the vehicle to cut it off. And the reason why is because if they do have a weapon, there's, you know, then the police officer, the law enforcement officer is right in front of them, and there's a chance that they could, if they have a weapon, they'll shoot them.
Yes.
So that's why they stay behind them like this, and it basically just, it becomes a standoff, and you know, eventually the suspect hopefully will get out of the car and give up peacefully. If not, they may very well go in after him. We've seen that too, where they'll actually have to physically pull him out of the vehicle.
And oftentimes with situations like this too, you know, we've seen it where it lasts for hours, where they send the little robot over so the robot can get a little better view of what's happening inside of the car, because obviously it's too dangerous for the law enforcement to get that close to the vehicle. It just depends on if they can hear them or how the negotiations go here. But clearly, if you're just joining us, this pursuit has, we've been on it for about 20 minutes now. Apparently, this driver had an accident in front of the sheriff's department first of all, he had an accident, period, and then they started pursuing him, and then he got into an accident that involved a deputy as well. So then this became sort of a surveillance mode when we first came on it, but then it turned into a full-blown pursuit. You can see there one of the law enforcement officers trying to do the pit maneuver. They attempted that twice, but eventually pushed him into traffic, and you've seen the other shots of him barreling through parked traffic, waiting basically at a light, and he felt trapped and pushed through, damaging his vehicle, and then eventually rear-ended another car here, and the car is so damaged it can't move now. So luckily that guy he hit did have the opportunity to be able to move forward. Gabe, you can see the movement there. That's a great shot there because you can see the driver a little bit. It almost looks like he has like a white hoodie or sweatshirt on.
Yeah, I do see that. It looks like a pretty heavy coat. We're looking through the windshield now, and he's definitely shuffling around, moving his arm back and forth. Possibly, let's see. It looks like he's almost reaching in the back seat for something, or maybe in the passenger seat. There you see his arm kind of reaching up, putting his hoodie on. And we just had some kind of round shot up there. I would imagine those are less than lethal, fired by the sheriff's department, possibly. Although I can't really say that to be sure. But we did see when we were up close on that vehicle, the window on the driver's side was shattered. Unsure how that came to be, but we're going to try and find that out for you. Right before that, we saw the suspect put his hoodie on, so that leads me to believe that possibly sheriffs made the announcement that they're going to fire tear gas or something like that to maybe get this suspect more of a reason to get out of the car. So that would be my suspicion there. I'm going to be careful here going in close, just seeing if there's still any see the suspect still kind of rummaging around there. Don't really see anything from this point, but LA County sheriffs are still going to make their calls just to be sure, because they want the suspect to get out of the car on their own terms. As I widen out the shot, you can see here this gas station nearby. There's a Carl's Jr. on the other side of the street. LA County Sheriff's also looking to get people kind of out of the vicinity just to keep everybody safe here.
Getting some information from a former police officer, Paul Walcott, with Hermosa Beach. He told me that one reason the vehicle's not moving, if he wanted to drive away, he said usually with this kind of a damage on a car now, there's actually an automatic fuel pump shutoff sensor, and that's probably why he's not moving. So it's and that also would, you know, keep a car, lessen the chance of a car catching on fire in a situation like this. So it looks like at this point that he's not going anywhere, so eventually he's going to have to give up here.
Yeah, he's definitely not going anywhere. We still see him moving around in the car. I just saw maybe a bottle cap get thrown out, or that could have been the wind. Not really sure there. But we're just kind of keeping an eye on this suspect, and you know, I keep seeing some activity there on the windshield, and I can't tell if that's leaves in the area or if deputies are actually firing less than lethal. Now that I see them walking away with one of those less than lethal devices, that might have been what we saw there. Again, that's to try and convince the suspect to have a reason to get out of the vehicle, maybe with tear gas or something of that nature. But he's still.
We're being told they're stun bags.
Stun bags, yeah.
Okay, makes sense.
And it probably made sense why he put the hoodie over his head too.
Right. Yeah, that would really make sense. It wouldn't be much help. You know, he would still be impacted by them, but definitely LA County sheriffs using all the tools at their disposal to try and get the suspect to get out of the vehicle. And as we look at the car, there's a drone in the area too. I would venture to hope that is a drone launched by the county sheriffs. If if a civilian is flying their drone around here, that is very dangerous, and that's definitely something that we don't want. But we have heard of, I'm not sure LA County Sheriff specifically has begun deploying drones for situations like this, but there you have it, a drone flying over the suspect vehicle in what is now a standoff here in the Diamond Bar area.
Well, that is certainly a new wrinkle, to say the least. We haven't seen that before. At least not in a pursuit situation like this. All right, again, this is a pursuit that started actually in front of a sheriff's station. It was a hit and run, and this driver took off. I believe we said it was a Chino, correct?
Chino in the beginning, yeah.
And it was a high-speed pursuit after this. A lot of reckless driving by this car. They tried several pit maneuvers because he was get to an intersection. He wasn't going to be stopped. He was squeezing between vehicles any way he could to get away from officers, but he finally got to this intersection and he rear-ended a car pretty hard. And at that point, it looked like his vehicle is disabled because maybe the fuel pump's been shut off. And now it's just a standoff. We know that they have fired at least one round of a stun bag in there, and now it's
there
just
you
a
go,
waiting game.
another couple rounds there. Another couple rounds there being fired.
You know, it's interesting, when we first came onto this, the driver was driving on the opposite side of the road, going an oncoming traffic, and right before we went on, we could see the video, and it was so tense because, I mean, he barely missed.
No, we thought we were going to see several
right
times.
here,
We thought he was going to be
see them head on. He misses that car, and then that huge white van, and then right there, I thought he was done there.
Well, to be in the far lane and come around a curve, I mean, cars coming the other way, they're not going to see him till the last second.
Yeah. And then at some point, besides all of that and hitting several other cars, including a deputy, he then almost T-boned, remember, with that truck that had the bed on the back. He was lucky there that it didn't go under the bed of that truck. But you can see just bumping people out of the way, damaging innocent drivers. At least he is stopped now, and he's not a danger to any drivers.
Now here's where he squeezed through those two vehicles right here, which was unbelievable because there was clearly not enough space between those cars, and he didn't care. He just...
And then the undercover police officer, you can see here, merged right in. and shortly thereafter is where he had another rear end situation, and that's what I think ultimately damaged his car.
Yeah, I think it's squeezing through cars
I
right
mean,
here.
he was going through, he hit them going 30 miles an hour probably.
And that's the car, that's the one that ended it right there.
Very dangerous situation for sure. And this is, I think we're lucky to have this pursuit end the way it did without a more serious accident.
Yeah.
I'm going to widen out the picture a little bit. Maybe we can see some of the cars that were involved in one of the very last accidents that kind of brought this pursuit to the end. And I don't see any emergency paramedics or anything like that tending to anyone in that area. So that's definitely good news. But the other good news is that those relatively minor crashes brought this pursuit to a stop, and now this suspect can't continue causing any harm to anybody else through the Diamond Bar area. And now this just becomes a standoff where LA County Sheriffs is going to use everything at their disposal to try and convince the suspect to get out of the car. We're hearing they're launching these non-lethal weapons into the vehicle once again to try and give the suspect a reason to get out of the car. Another note is that we did hear sheriff's deputies talking about the drone over this standoff scene as if they didn't put it there. So we're thinking now that that drone may have been a civilian in the area just trying to get a peek of the situation. That's definitely not something you should do. That could just cause problems here with the investigation. And we do have an LA County Sheriff's deputy over the scene at a really low altitude, so that could also be a danger there.
Yeah, if you can get any closer, the two windows on the left side, the driver's side window and the back, you can see it's heavily damaged now from them shooting the stun bags in that direction. I guess ultimately they're hoping that it breaks the glass and then they can get something in there to force him out of the vehicle.
Yeah, and the next step here would probably be for the Sheriff's Department to get one of those armored vehicles out to the scene, or they're probably looking at different plans they have to get shields and get up close to the suspect to see if they can maybe coax him out of the car that way. But the best case scenario would be to probably get one of those armored vehicles here to the scene, get up close, and maybe from there pull the suspect out of the vehicle. Yeah. But at this point, it's just a standoff. This suspect has given no indication that he wants to get out of the vehicle or that he wants to end this anytime soon. And these are the ones that might go for some time here.
And, you know, really, if they're just using stun bags at this point, I mean, basically they shoot them out of a shotgun, and, you know, it's breaking the windows. I don't know if any of those are actually hitting him. They're not lethal. Yeah. But you think at this point it would scare him enough to where he would want to get out of the vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to try and keep a little bit of a wide shot here because I haven't seen a lot of movement anymore from the suspect. I don't know if he's, you know, he might be just tired and trying to hide from deputies at this point, but I'm not seeing any movement from him, so that would lead me to believe that deputies may be seeing that, and they may want to maybe look at a couple other options here to get up close and see if they can look in the window and see what exactly is going on with this suspect.
He actually, as we mentioned earlier, might not be able to actually get out of the driver's side because that door is indented and the wheel is sort of inverted in. So he may have to go on the other side. But if he were willing to give up, which we see pursuit drivers sometimes, you know, they're like, okay, I'm caught, and they get down on the ground and they know what to do. This guy, if he wanted to, he could have gotten out of the passenger side door.
Well, actually, we don't. There's probably a lot of damage on that side too, because he was squeezing between those vehicles the way he was. So it probably the damage on the other side is very similar to what you see on the driver's side. But
just in general, if he wanted to get out and not be in a situation like this, he could roll the window down and say, you know, I give up. And now you see some looky-loos kind of coming around over there on the left-hand side of your screen. I'm not sure I would be standing around anywhere near this just in case something were to happen in terms of weapons. So it's always a dangerous situation to be near an investigation.
Yeah, you see some employees at the local restaurant here kind of checking things out, which, you know, it's fine if they kind of peek out and check things out, but you don't want to get close. I would venture to say that this person on the right side of the screen, and there's also a little bit of a bigger group here, people kind of shooting with their cell phones. That's a little bit too close for comfort, and I would maybe back up a little bit. But anytime this happens, you know, it piques people's interest, and they want to come out and check it out. And now with something like this, it's not something that is ending quickly. It's not something that sheriffs were able to get the suspect out and bring this to an end really quickly. This is now a standoff, so people are finding out about it on the news and on Twitter, and they're coming out to check it out, which we don't really want people to do. We want people to stay here and watch. You know, we have the best seat in the house to kind of see what happens here, so that's definitely the best option.
And are we confirming that this ended now in Diamond Bar? Is that where we are located at this time?
Yeah, Diamond Bar Boulevard.
Okay.
Yeah, the information that we have is that this is still Diamond Bar. This is on the south side of the 60 freeway as I widen out the shot here, and I will put our Sky Map 5 view on and add the maps to that, so you can see the 60 freeway through that through your picture there, left, right, and then North Diamond Bar Boulevard, north to south. That gives you kind of an idea of where we are in the San Gabriel Valley, and this is causing a little bit of a traffic situation here, not necessarily to the freeway, but definitely to Diamond Bar Boulevard. You're not going to be able to get on the freeway north or south from there.
Yeah, in situations like this, if you're just joining us, the video on the right is from earlier, and you saw that first pit maneuver, and they tried it at least one other time for this vehicle that they were pursuing. And then the live images are on the left-hand side, essentially a standoff here with the driver still inside the vehicle and LA County Sheriff's deputies shooting the stun bags at that vehicle, trying to see. There is a little bit of movement, Gabe, with the driver.
Yeah, there is now.
He is moving a little bit now again. At some point, he's got to make a decision, because that front window is getting super honeycombed, and in fact, it could already be completely broken. We're going to be able to see him eventually.
Well, if they're shooting those stun bags into that driver's side window, then he's hurting a bit, to say the least.
You don't want that to go across your face.
It's definitely hard to say what condition the suspect is in right now. We also don't know if he's under the influence of anything, really. I mean, the way he was driving, you can imagine that might be something that is part of what's going on here. But yeah, the window is looking very damaged, as you were just saying, and it's going to be a matter of time where he'll just be able to jump out the window. If his door, you know, we were talking about the door, it might be damaged to the point of not being able to open. But there are 4 other doors on this car that he could get out. But again, LA County Sheriff's taking no chances here. They don't know if this suspect is armed. I'm not sure if they were able to identify the suspect yet, since it was kind of a spur-of-the-moment pursuit, not something that they were following and then led to something else. It was multiple car accidents in the area that caused LA County Sheriff's to start this pursuit. So the information that they have to go off of as far as who this suspect is, what his history is, I'm definitely sure that they're working on it, but they may not have that information as of yet. So they have to take every precaution here, be very careful, and kind of stay out of the line of fire and stay as safe as they can be.
And eventually, obviously, they're doing negotiations, yelling back and forth if he can hear them, but definitely not getting close to the vehicle where they are right now. You're saying, you know, in terms of a safety, for safety purposes, but they do sometimes bring the robot in, or I guess now in updated days, they're going to bring in the drone that has a camera that can get a little closer to look and see what's happening closer inside the vehicle.
I did see some movement behind the windshield there a couple of minutes ago, so he's still conscious. It's not like he's unconscious at this point, so should be fully aware. There you see a movement there, so he is fully aware of the situation, and it's just a waiting game at this point.
Yeah, we see the suspect. It even looks like he still has his seatbelt on, so at least he was following that rule. Okay. And you know, he's moving around in the vehicle. He might be hurt. We don't know that for sure, but that's something that the Sheriff's Department is going to be taking into consideration here. But I'm betting the next step is going to try and bring in a armored vehicle or some other armored apparatus to try and get close and maybe talk to the suspect directly and convince him to give this up, so you know, everyone can get on with their day.
All right, again, if you're just joining us, this is a pursuit that started in Chino. The red car there, which has sustained a lot of damage in this pursuit, was in an accident. Just happened to be in front of a sheriff's station. He did not stay at the scene. He took off. Sheriff's deputies were in pursuit. And now we are on Diamond Bar Boulevard, just short of the 60 freeway. And that's where it stands now. But between where this accident started and where we stand now, there was a lot of damage to a lot of other vehicles. This car driving at a high rate of speed would be forced to slow down at intersections and not even having any regard for the other drivers. He would just literally slam into other cars, squeeze between cars, push them out of his way, and
Drive
keep going.
opposite direction.
Was on the wrong side of the road and looked like he was going to have a head-on with a semi-truck. And he was way on the outside lane, and it was amazing that he managed to get back over because there were cars coming the other direction, and one of them almost plowed into him. And there you see, that's what I'm talking about, trying to squeeze between vehicles.
He did.
Yeah,
I mean, he was aggressive.
There was even a pit maneuver where he ended up in the other lane, almost caused an accident, but it was shortly after that when this finally came to an end. I think it's coming up to this next intersection here, as you see from earlier, where there was no place to go. And he just started, as you see here, he just went right between several vehicles until he finally plowed into the back of that silver car. And it looks like at that point, that's probably, there was enough damage where the fuel pump was shut off and all the other cars cleared out of the way except for the silver vehicle. And once the law enforcement came up behind him, the silver car moved out of the area. And that's where we sit now, probably for, what, at least the last 30 minutes.
For sure. You know, it must have been so just jarring and upsetting for so many of the drivers, you know, just going along their merry way, and this guy comes out of nowhere and bursts through the traffic, and then to rear end the silver vehicle. And if you were with us, you saw the silver vehicle. You know, when someone rear ends you, you sit there and you wait because, you know, you're supposed to take the insurance and you're not supposed to move. And plus he could see the police or the law enforcement behind him. We thought maybe for a moment his vehicle was damaged, but he ended up moving forward and getting out of the way because, again, we don't know what the situation is with this driver. We don't know if he is armed and dangerous, or if he's under the influence, or if he is just being hard-headed and staying inside that vehicle. But definitely just super dangerous pursuit. All pursuits are dangerous, but this one, the rate of speed and the disregard for so many people's lives, running through red lights and going through intersections, just terrifying to watch. And as Gabe Santos, who's in Sky 5 right now, mentioned, it's a great way to see, and this is not ended, but at least he is not moving anymore. He is not a danger to other people.
All right, joining us on the phone again, we had to pull him out of retirement one more time.
I don't think it's going to be one more time.
This is the second time. Tim Lynn, can you hear us okay?
Gary, fine, Glenn.
Okay.
Once again, the 3 o'clocker never fails to be a good job.
Oh, thank you. Never a dull moment here in Southern California in the afternoons. So, where do we stand now? They've shut the stun bags in there, but it doesn't seem to have helped at this point.
Well, as Gabe said, they're in the wait-and-see mode right now as time on their side, and they're going to sit back and wait and try to negotiate with the suspect. Now, what they're using those...
We may have lost Tim there.
Tim, you still there? Well, I think we lost our signal. We'll try to get Tim back on the line.
Well, and as what he was saying was, and when Tim's back, just let us know. He was saying that clearly they're trying to negotiate with him, and the driver has not been complying. So that's why they've been utilizing these stun bags, trying to get the driver to eventually give up. And as we mentioned earlier, they're non-lethal weapons, or are non-lethal, and so it's basically just to stun you, essentially. But at some point, you got to give up.
No, it's basically a beanbag they're shooting.
Yeah, that does not feel good.
No, it's not lethal, but it certainly stings, that's
Yes.
for sure. All right, again, this is on Diamond Bar Boulevard, just off the 60 freeway. Actually, the 60 freeway is just in front of where this car is stopped right now. Tim, you back with us?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, there he is. Okay.
All right, Tim. So you were talking, and we got cut off. You were saying that they clearly are trying to negotiate with this driver, and then you were mentioning a couple other things.
Yeah, they're using these stun bags, those bean bags, as you just described, Glenn, to knock out the window so they can get visibility into the car. You notice they started on that left rear window first, and then onto the driver window. They're not trying to hit him. They're just trying to knock the windows out to where they get visibility inside the vehicle. But the problem is the vehicle has tinted windows, which is that film on the inside of the windows, and that holds all that glass together. So you can see it kind of wiggling in the wind right there, right above the mirror. So that's holding that glass into place. So they've tried that a couple times. And sometimes when they do that, they're giving themselves the opportunity to be able to introduce some type of chemical agent, whether it's a pepper ball from some of the air guns they have, or an actual tear gas into the vehicle that's kind of coaxed him out. But right now, they're in that wait-and-see mode. Right now, the time is on the officer's side, as Gabe has said earlier, and more than likely, they've already called the Special Enforcement Bureau, or the SEB is what the LA County Sheriff's calls their SWAT team, to come out with armored vehicles to surround the vehicle. And what they'll do is bring one in the front of the vehicle, head on with it, so they can look straight into the vehicle, and then one behind to keep him from moving. And at that point, then they start up close and personal negotiations through the ports that are on those armored vehicles that they use. But, yeah, this pursuit, it was something else. I mean, it was very violent during the way, and we keep talking about the different accidents along the way. Well, when he was forcing his way between the vehicles, that's actually assault with a deadly weapon, an intentional act, and not categorized as an accident. So all those vehicles that he struck, all those people he put into harm's way will be included charges on the suspect when this is all wrapped up in the end of the investigation. But right now, the sheriffs are going to do their best to clear out the area around. A lot of looky-loos around the area. They're trying to get out of the way, out of the line of fire should something happen, and that's their first priority right now, is to secure the scene. And going back to what Gabe showing, that drone working over the crash, or over the end here, very dangerous, because one, you have that, as he said, you have the LA County Sheriff's helicopter at about 300 feet keeping an eye on the suspect. Now he has to depart the area to get out of the way of that drone until they can get that out of the air. And the rules and regulations on drone is you're not allowed to fly them if you have aircraft in the area. So hopefully they found that person who was trying to get that social media moment for himself on that drone, and placed them under arrest for endangering the officers in the helicopter. But right now, the Sheriff's Department's just got to sit back, call in additional resources to try to shut this thing down without harming that suspect or putting any deputies in harm's way.
Tim, do they still use, if this guy eventually never comes out or doesn't come out, do they typically still use the robot that can get up closer, or do you think they're close enough to be able to see what's going on?
Well, right now they're close enough to see what's going on, but as I said earlier, the Bearcats, or the armored vehicles they bring in, they can pull right up on him and look through the windows of the Bearcat, because they are bullet-resistant glass in the Bearcat, to where they can look in and directly talk to the guy. I mean, with the PA system, or just out of the ports that are on either side. And I've seen them at one point come up with a Bearcat and then strap a tear gas canister onto a pike pole and just jam it through the window and introduce tear gas into the vehicle. So there's multiple ways that they could do that. I've seen the robots come up and just simply open the door. But as Gabe was talking about earlier, that right or left front door is probably damaged beyond being able to be opened. So they can use the robot to go in and take out the glass, move everything out, and also give him a communication device where he can talk to the negotiator if it gets that far. But more than likely, this is going to be just the SEB folks coming up, containing the vehicle, and then using different apparatus, different equipment to knock out the windows, and then encourage the driver to either get out or give up. So at some point, they'll escalate as needed by with the suspect's action. So if the suspect is seen to be armed, then that's going to take up to a different level. But if they don't see any weapons or anything of that sort, they'll continue to keep it at a level to where they're just trying to take him into custody. So right now it's just a wait and see, to wait for those Bearcats to come in from East LA and armed vehicles to come in from East LA and then be able to surround this vehicle.
Tim, if not for the tinted windows, is a possibility this could be over by now because they would have had a clearer view of what's going on inside the vehicle?
Oh, no doubt. If they'd have been able to get that left rear window out, more than likely one of those deputies would have started introducing pepper balls into the shot, just like those paintball guns that people use to have the little shooting games that they have. They'll use those to send in that pepper ball. And basically it's cayenne pepper, and it gets in there and it's an irritant to the eyes and then to the nose and lungs, and make the person get out of the car. But, yeah, if they could see into it, more than likely they may have gone in. But, as we always say, you never know what's going on with that suspect inside. We don't have all the information that the deputies have. What was the cause of that accident in front of the sheriff's station? Why did that all start? And they have all that information. Fortunately, we don't know at this point. So they're working off a bit more information that has been put out on the scanner over from the public information officer. So they're working off that. They're still working on probably identifying this subject if they don't already know who it is, and working it from a lower level and working up the ladder of escalation, as they call it. You don't want to jump to the very top and start doing things when you have the ability to do something at a lower level.
Well, one thing we know is right now time's on the side of law enforcement as they wait this one out and wait for more support. And again, this was a wild pursuit. Started in front of a sheriff's station in Chino. The red vehicle you see there, we're not even quite sure what kind of car it is, was involved in an accident. Like we said, right in front of a sheriff's station. The vehicle took off. Deputies were in pursuit. And as Tim said, the person behind that wheel is going to face several charges of assault with a deadly weapon because he purposely would slam in the back of cars and try to squeeze between cars to try to get away. And this is one time where they tried to pit maneuver and almost pushed him into another lane. That would have been disastrous if it had a head-on with a car coming the other direction. But even earlier than that, we saw him purposely go into the far lane on the other side of the boulevard and then come up to a curb and work his way back over while cars are coming the other direction, and didn't even see him until the last second. And it's amazing that he didn't make any contact with any of those vehicles. And
at least 50 or 60 miles per hour at that point. He would have hit head on. And we don't know if he intentionally hit the deputy as well, because this is a deputy-involved accident in the beginning. After he had his first accident in front of the Chino's Sheriff's Department. But just incredible. We cover these pursuits oftentimes, and these drivers drive at excessive speeds and sometimes slow down at intersections, sometimes not. But typically when they get trapped, they wait for the light to turn green and have some hits and misses. But this guy just literally no regard for anyone, just plowing through, hitting at least anywhere up to 10 to 12 vehicles, and it came to an end here when he rear-ended this silver. It didn't even seem like a hard hit there, but I think he had hit so many other cars that former police officer who texted in and said basically
probably shut the fuel pump down.
Yeah, shut it down so he can't keep going. Which had to be frustrating for him.
Is this the crazy part? Yeah. Yes. This is when he went on the other side. I think this is when he went on the other side of the road. No, maybe not. This is a long straightaway, so it was probably.
Yeah, that's just after that, I think. Oh, I mean, I cannot believe how. And as you said, Glenn, those people were coming around a curve.
Yeah.
So it's almost if you were just driving and all of a sudden there's a car there, and if anyone had made a small shift in their driving, at least they stayed steady and they made him make the move, right?
Hey, maybe this is it, right? Yeah, this is it. Almost hits that.
Almost hits there.
I mean, look at this. He's in the far lane, and now he's going to come up to this curb, misses a car there, and
that's 4 cars. He missed.
Now, those cars would not have seen him until he was right on top of them, and it's amazing there was no contact.
And that's what's so dangerous about this. Gabe, you've been above this since the beginning, Gabe Santos and Sky 5, and we were saying that at the scene, which is normal, people are starting to show up to kind of look around, but hopefully some of the law enforcement officers there are able to get some of the looky-loos out of harm's way. You don't want to be too close to a situation when we don't know what's happening inside that car.
Right. We are hearing that sheriff's deputies are trying to clear off this sheriff's station. The Chevron station. We were seeing a lot of looky-loos begin to gather here and maybe get a little too close for comfort, definitely more close than I would want to be to a situation like this. You see them putting up more yellow tape just to try and keep people away and keep people safe. A little bit of info regarding the two crashes that this suspect was involved in that kind of led to this pursuit. The first one, unknown if anyone was hurt, was in front of the sheriff's station. That's what led to the pursuit to start. And then it seems like a deputy that was involved in the pursuit got into a crash while they were pursuing this suspect, but the pursuit suspect himself was not actually involved in that crash. He was able to continue on while the sheriff's deputy was, their vehicle was disabled in the crash and they had to stop, but the other sheriff's deputies were able to pick this up and continue chasing the suspect. Here now to the intersection of Diamond Bar Boulevard, just south of the 60 freeway, where a standoff pretty much is continuing now as we go past 4:30 here this afternoon.
Well, again, as you mentioned, Gabe, it's so, and if we're looking at anything positive here, at least this standoff is stopped now, and this guy is not continuing to drive on freeways and on the side streets because it just was absolutely too dangerous. But again, law enforcement have told us before, and Tim, you may be able to speak to this, that this situation sometimes is the most dangerous sometimes of pursuits because you don't know the behavior of the driver.
That's exactly right. You said that. As a vehicle comes to a stop at the end of a pursuit and it's terminating, you don't know what is going to happen at that very moment. You have a lot of emotions running pretty high from the pursuit, and you're having to wait to see what the suspect does so you can react to it. And they could come out with their hands in the air, a cell phone in their hands, give up and do all that, or they can come out with a weapon and start firing. So you don't know exactly what's going to happen at the end. And then as you start your call out, is a guy going to get out safely and then follow direction, or is he going to get out and start running? Now, do you run past the car, chasing the suspect? Is there somebody else in the car? All those things go through the officer's minds when they come to the end. And at that very first part of the termination is the most dangerous point of an officer's time, is because you don't know what's going to happen and you have to react to what happens versus being proactive. So that's what we always talk about, and as Gabe did, we widen out the shot so you make sure that you don't see anything on TV that's too graphic. But those officers are on very high alert when it goes to an end because they are in the reactive mode versus being proactive towards that suspect.
Mm-hmm.
Tim, we're starting to see the shadows get a little bit longer there in Diamond Bar. Will they try to get this resolved before the sun goes down?
Well, sun is a favor because you can see a lot more. But again, once they bring in those special weapons vehicles, they can light that car up very well because they're going to be, like I said, they're going to be right on it. They'll go nose to nose with it, with the first vehicle to make sure it's disabled, and then one into the rear to make sure it doesn't back up. And once they get it surrounded, then they can be able to eliminate that vehicle as best they can. So light is good during the day. You want to get it done because you have a pretty good visibility, but they're not limited to that. If it has to go into the night, they will. The one thing they will not do is rush this. If they have the ability to wait it out, to work on it a little longer, to make sure they get the guy out in a safe manner, they don't want to be Monday morning quarterback that they could have done something differently if this should end up in a shooting. So they'll go through their policy procedure, and as they're trained, just take everything very slow. And I'm telling you, as being a patrol officer, you're out on a situation like this, when the SEB or your SWAT team shows up, everything goes into real slow motion at that point because those officers train for this type of situation, and they will follow that training that they have to the letter. And it is very slow, and meticulous how they run these operations. So hopefully they can, the traffic moving well on the 60 there, they can get those assets in from East LA and get them on scene here pretty soon and bring this down. But there's no reason to rush it. They're all getting paid to sit there and take care of this, and there's no real problem. They're not blocking a major freeway to worry about. They're in a very small area. So right now it's, they just have to take their time and let this suspect figure out what he wants to do, because all of this, if you break it all down, it's all up to him how this ends. It can end by him giving up and walking back and giving up, and off to the jail he goes, probably via the hospital. Or if he decides to take it the other way, that's his decision, and they're not going to rush their way into it and force him into that decision.
Yeah, it sounds like you're saying patience wins in this situation. And, you just spoke to his condition, possibly maybe needing to go to the hospital, maybe mentally or physically, but he hit a lot of cars.
Yeah.
And he banged up. So, there's a chance that he is injured in some capacity, because he's the one who's rear-ending a bunch of cars. And if you've ever been in an accident, it's no fun.
No.
And he hit in that second section where he hit and then pushed through those two vehicles. You can just see the damage from the car, what he's been through. And, some people had mentioned maybe he, what condition he's under in terms of if he's on drugs or if he's been drinking. But if that's the case, he's a pretty good driver. If you think about everything he went through and like maneuvering through everyone, and then he got pitted, and then he was able to
keep control of the vehicle.
Totally kept control of it. It didn't turn or flip.
No. Well,
Hey.
whatever his mental condition, he was definitely a desperate person, male or female, whoever this is, because again, he was driving at a high rate of speed, a total disregard for other vehicles. You see him there squeezing through, two cars several times, and as you said, where it came to an end here, he slammed into the back of that car, rear-ended that silver car. It wasn't, it wasn't that hard, but it was enough to disable the car.
Yep.
And that's where we stand now.
Gabe, were you trying to say something?
Just talking to my pilot here, David, we were wondering if he had moved to the back of the car. Can't really tell from here. He had that white jacket on, and I can still see that jacket there kind of in the over the center console. I'm trying not to go too close, because, what if he got hit by one of the non-lethal rounds? As you guys were saying, it probably still hurts. But we're kind of wondering if he is moving around within the car, or if he's still in that driver's seat, maybe just hiding under the jacket. And that's kind of the nature of the scene right now, this standoff situation, which, as Tim was saying, time is on the side of the law enforcement as they wait for other resources to most likely arrive and give them an opportunity to get up close and maybe talk directly to the suspect, or maybe even pull him out if they can determine that it is safe to do so.
Well, Tim, you sounded pretty confident that they're going to bring in resources from the east side and bring them over to be able to get up closer to the vehicle.
Yeah, exactly. Normally they don't let deputies get into harm's way by, going up on the vehicle, especially when they have a static situation like this in a secure scene. They'll bring in different equipment to be able to get up closer. But as soon as you say that, you'll see a bunch of deputies with shields go racing up to the vehicle. So they're, like I said earlier, they're working off information more defined than what we've heard, more than likely. They know what's going on. What's going on with this subject, other than just being a hit-and-run suspect that fled and crashed into a bunch of other cars. Now, they're developing information from their station. The dispatchers are working on the vehicle, trying to figure out who owns that vehicle, who might possibly be the driver of this vehicle. Does the person who owned the car know somebody? Did he loan the car out? Was it stolen? So the dispatchers and record techs back at the offices and the stations are working that out. And so at that point, they're going to try to get as much intel on this vehicle as they can before they start advancing on it. Unless they see a situation in the car that needs immediate activity, like you talked about. Was he hit with one of the bean bags? Let's say he's now bleeding from that, getting hit in the face or in the head or something of that sort. they see that he's in medical peril, they will, put the shields up and go up there and try to get him out to give him medical aid. But if they don't see any exigent circumstances, more than likely they'll just hold back because they have the position of advantage right now. Car's not going anywhere, obviously, and now they're going to sit and wait for that extra equipment to come out. So there's no need to rush up there. I mean, right now you can see the body language of the deputies standing around there to the right on the opposite side of the street. They're all pretty calm down and casual, and the deputy in the back, they're more than likely is going to be the sergeant and the looks like a plainclothes officers keeping track of things going on and keeping status of all their officers on scene. So you watch the body languages of the body language of the officers around you can kind of tell what their mindset is. They're keeping the car covered. They have officers in all positions around, but the ones that are coming in now are pretty more in a casual mode, just waiting for the next vehicle to show them. Now, you see the black vehicle up in the intersection. That more than likely is going to be an asset from the SEB who first came on scene. But those crew, they are dedicated to the SWAT team, so they're right there. That's the vehicle I'm saying. And more than likely, that's going to be an SEB. You see the officer, he has the helmet on, he has the flak jacket on or the utility jacket on, and he is dressed differently from your patrol deputies. So he's probably the first one on scene. He'll start figuring out exactly what's going on. They'll start scouting the scene to see what they have around. They'll make sure that the area around the incident is clear of any civilians. And then you'll start seeing a slow takeover by the Special Enforcement Bureau deputies coming in and taking the positions of the patrol deputies and moving them back out of the way, and then taking total control of the scene, because once they come on scene, they are in charge and they move everybody else back so they can work as a team and work as a train.
What about employing some dogs?
At this point, being a former dog handler, no, there's no need for it. You're just going to put your dog in harm's way, and now you have your dog in the car, and now you got to go get your dog out of the car, and you're putting yourself in harm's way. The SEB does have a detail of canines attached to their unit, and they do use those. I mean, we watched the Downing pursuit where the suspect was shooting at the pursuing officers. It came to an end. The deputies came up with the Bearcats, went in, contained the scene, and then when there was no motion from the suspect, they sent the dog in to pull the suspect from the vehicle. And that's one time I've seen them use a dog into a vehicle like this on a barricade, is just basically to try to get control or get activity from the suspect in the vehicle. But right now, no, the dog would not be sent in there, because you're going to put a handler in harm's way, and you're going to put other deputies who are going to have to go up there and back that deputy goes up to take care of his canine.
So you're saying the first resources showed up, he'll do the assessment, and then the other vehicle, the larger vehicle, is probably on the way. That first vehicle that pulled up, it's not necessarily bulletproof. That's the larger vehicle that you're looking to show up.
Yeah, you're going to look at those very large Bearcats or the armored vehicles, whichever flavor they use. That more likely that's just a SWAT member or SEB member that's scout or another assignment that he comes in and does what they call a scout to see what's going on. Then he calls back and tells, bring in extra resources. They'll bring out a certain amount of resources for every call like this, but if he gets there and sees that something specialized is needed, such as the robot, which is normally associated with the bomb squad, because the bomb squad is what carries that robot normally, and they'll ask for that to come. And then if there's anything else specialized they need, I mean, they have a little Bobcat tractor that has basically a claw on the front of it. They can just take the door right off the car. We watched that in Compton when they were going after that suspect that shot the two deputies at the train station. So, I mean, basically just tears everything off. So they can use that. There's all kinds of different little pieces of equipment that they can use to take the suspect out of the vehicle or take the doors off to be able to get to the suspect. But they're going to take it really slow, and it's going to be a long-standing scene here, is just watching like I said, the body language of those deputies and the way they're acting. They're waiting for that Special Enforcement Bureau to arrive, and the first assets have already shown up. So I'm guessing probably next 30 minutes they should be coming on scene.
Let's check in with Gabe Santos again up in Sky 5. Gabe, have you seen any evidence of more of those SWAT officers showing up than the one we did see with the black vehicle in the back there?
We're definitely seeing a few more resources showing up here. A couple of the, looks like the Tahoes that LA County Sheriff's has, with deputies that were dressed up in more armor gear, definitely different, more so than from the other deputies that are just patrolling the street. So we're seeing a few of them show up, kind of gauge the situation. As Tim was mentioning, probably a scout person to determine what kind of resources they will actually need to bring over here to the scene. Another interesting thing we heard is that one of the deputies did say on the radio that they are seeing movement now in the back of the vehicle. So the suspect may actually be moving within the vehicle, and that's why we can't see anything through the front. So that's something that the deputies are going to want to keep tabs on. But this is one of those static standoff situations where, as we've been mentioning, time is on the side of law enforcement as they get their additional resources here and try to bring this thing to an end.
Well, if you're just joining us, obviously we're not usually on now at 4:49.
No.
We have been following this pursuit now, a standoff, since around 3:35. We jumped on and started at the Chino Sheriff's Department. This vehicle got into an accident and then fled and was being pursued, and then got into another accident with a deputy allegedly. And then they were doing what they call surveillance mode for a minute, and then this guy just really became driving so quickly and on the opposite side of the street, head on. Clearly, the chances of him hitting someone was so scary to watch. At one point, and then he just has hit at least 12 dozen cars, ramming through vehicles at intersections, almost T-boning with a flatbed truck. And then finally, it came to an end. You can see there he's driving on the right-hand side of your screen on the opposite side of the road, and you can see innocent drivers there. Just would have never seen him zigzagging in and out, just missing people by inches. But then he ended up rear-ending another vehicle at an intersection where now we have been for probably 45 minutes or so. This driver inside a vehicle, and he is refusing to come out, and sheriff's deputies have been shooting stun bags at the vehicle. The point of that is to break the glass so they can ultimately put some smoke bombs or agitate him enough for him to get out, or her. The problem is the windows are tinted, so that film, Tim Lim was explaining, that interior is keeping the windows from being broken. And so, as Tim also said, this is just a waiting game now, patience for the deputies who are waiting, and they just have to kind of sit and wait to see what happens with this guy, because we don't know if he's armed. Yeah,
the tinted windows put them at a disadvantage because they have a hard time seeing what's going on inside of the vehicle. What they use to tint the windows is basically more or less holding the glass in place. We know that they did shoot the back windshield. We don't know exactly if they were able to get through that, but I mean, the stuff that happened earlier with this guy was just absolutely amazing. I mean, before this thing ended, the intersection, the crowded intersection where this ended, it looked like he was heading to trying to force his way to the entrance of the 60 freeway, which you see there at the bottom of the screen from the live shot. But I mean, before he hit that silver car, I mean, look at this right here. One,
I mean,
two,
he was
three.
going so fast there.
Yeah, it was like 6 vehicles or 7 vehicles he made contact with before he finally came to a stop behind this silver car when he rear-ended that vehicle.
And we think that possibly just the electronics inside that car may have disabled it from moving any farther, because the impact on that silver car really wasn't that strong. And you can see the silver car sits and waits and sort of is like, okay, someone just rear-ended me and we're going to have to do the insurance things. But then I think he also realized there were like 12 law enforcement vehicles behind him, and so eventually he moved forward just in case. So you don't want to be around a situation like that because you don't know what the driver.
Well, it was about 10 or 15 seconds before the law enforcement showed up. So
At least.
And then it probably took him another 10, 15 seconds to process that. all the other vehicles moved out of the way, and then it was just the two of them, and then he finally pulled forward and got out of the picture.
And was like, thank goodness.
Yeah.
And then actually there were vehicles behind this car too, and they did some U-turns and got out of that situation as well, because, you know, the guy could have gotten out of the car blazing, you know, or you never know what he could have been doing. So he definitely is refusing to come out of this car. It's definitely a standoff situation, unknown why he was running from law enforcement, and definitely a very dangerous pursuit today.
And again, we have no information if this was a stolen vehicle, whatever he was involved in before the initial accident, which, as we said, took place in front of the Sheriff's Department in Chino. And he took off from there, and one of the sheriff's deputies that was involved in the pursuit at the beginning ended up getting involved in another accident which didn't involve the red car, even though the red car caused it. But boy, even after that, this car's in a lot of, and this is crazy. I mean, just get out of my way, as he's telling those two cars, and there was not enough room to get between them, and he just forced his way through.
But if you think about it, we're watching it silently, right, from the helicopter, and but imagine being those two cars and that car just coming through and plowing. It's just unbelievable that happened. Tim, are you still with us?
Yes, I am.
So what happens, like, you know, if you're one of those cars, you call your insurance company, you're like, so, yeah, this happened. How do they, I mean, it's so interesting, you know, who's liable for all that? I guess the driver, huh?
Oh, yeah. Well, the driver would be liable, and also your insurance company will also try to send a claim to the Sheriff's Department or the pursuing agency that's involved. Now, you know, I'm not an insurance adjuster, and I'm not a insurance broker or anything, but intentional acts are not accidents. This person intentionally rams a vehicle on the roadway. I'm sure you have to see that fine print in the policy of whatever company you're with to figure it out. But normally what happens is the department is also included into any type of liability that happens during pursuit. So that's why, you know, they really are careful about what kind of a pursuit they stay with and how long they stay with it. And if it gets really out of hand, it's not just human life they're worried about. They're also worried about the liability that is attached to that. That's why you try to get the helicopter over as quickly as possible to keep the deputies or the officers from chasing and try to hopefully get the guy just to go to ground and get out. But as Gabe said, this one ended up hopefully with very few injuries. I'm sure there's a lot of shooken up drivers, like you said, sitting there and all of a sudden hearing that metal grinding, your car bouncing as this car drives up to your door and pushes through. So the last thing you're thinking about, you know, at 4 o'clock in the afternoon driving home from work or making your way back home from your errands, and to have some guy like this just drive right over the side of your car. But yeah, they're it's a situation where there's a lot of paperwork going to be generated from this. All those vehicles that were involved, they'll be interviewed as well. And from that point on, I'm sure it'll be months and months of litigation and back and forth to find out who's responsible or how they're going to collect
Tim,
for the damages to their vehicles.
Tim, just watching the screen right now, what exactly is going on at the scene? There's a couple of black and white SUVs moving around there behind the vehicle. What's about to happen here?
Well, like I said earlier, that's what Special Enforcement Bureau does. That could be one of their vehicles. They're working its way in. And you'll slowly see a changeover to where SEB units will come in and then take over the spots of those deputies. So they could be clearing the way there for Bearcat to come down in behind and get around it. So you'll start seeing the move here. Now, I can't really tell if that large Chevy Tahoe there is part of the Special Enforcement Bureau or what, but the officer's definitely in one of their outfits, and there's another one behind the vehicle in the right turn pocket there. So if Gabe widens out a little bit, see if we see any other assets up in the intersection as it comes in. You'll start seeing that now. So all these deputies you see piled around here are going to start being moved out of the way, and those other deputies will come in and take over. So that could be what that maneuver was there, is to start clearing out things. And that's what that scout deputy does. He comes in and tells the sergeant, whoever here is on scene commander, this is what we need. This is what we need to do. I need that vehicle, this vehicle, and that vehicle moved. I need those people over there moved back, clear out this store, clear out that business, and get the deputies there to start working that. But there's a lot of folks walking around behind this in the back and right now, so it's just a point of getting things lined up. And I guarantee you right now they're just waiting for that SEV folks to start showing up. And like I said, they come out of the Whittier area, south end of East LA, and that's where their main headquarters is. They also come out of the Viscaloo Center, which is up here in East LA on the hill. So it's just a matter of getting all the troops together, getting the equipment together, and getting them on the road and heading down this way. But you already have your first scout there doing the first leg work, and then when the rest of the troops show up, then they'll start moving them into position.
All right, Tim, we thank you for your insight. We keep pulling you out of retirement. I hope you're still having an enjoyable day. And again, this is a pursuit that has come to an end on Diamond Bar Boulevard between Palomino and the 60 freeway. It looked like this car was trying to force its way through several cars to get there, but came up short. Looks like his fuel pump probably shut down. And now we have this standoff of quite a pursuit that caused quite a bit of damage.
And we will continue to cover this. We're going to stream it at KTLA.com as well. We'll have more in the evening. For everyone here at KTLA, for Glenn Walker, Tim Lynn, and Gabe Santos, I'm Lou Parker. We'll see you soon.